Okay, so today I'd like to go ahead and show you how to create dummy variables in SPSS and then use these newly created dummy variables in a linear regression. So as we know, dummy variables are important if we want to include a nominal variable in our regression. We can't do that without recoding it into dummy variables. So we're actually going to go ahead and work with this variable here, FEWKMOM, the FEWKMOM, here at position 11. So let's begin by just getting a look at the label on this guy. So this variable is attitudes about whether or not a working mother can have a warm relationship with her children. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this is coded. So we can do that by clicking here. So what we see is that this is coded such that 1 means that the respondent agrees with this statement, a 3 means they really don't care, they neither agree nor disagree, and 5 means that they disagree. 8 and 9 are missing values for either the respondent didn't know or they refused. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and recode these into new dummy variables. So to do that, we just go up here to transform, and we'll say recode into different variables. Then we're just going to find our variable, which is the FEWKMOM. We're going to put that over here. And we're actually going to, there's 3 different categories on this variable, but since we omit one of those categories in a linear regression, we're actually just going to create 2 categories. So the first one we're going to go ahead and create is this variable for disagree. So we'll just call it creatively disagree, and we'll just give it the label that R disagrees. We know what we're working with, so we should be okay. And then we'll click change, and you can see that I can't spell disagree. So let's go ahead and fix that. That looks better, and it's good to note that you can go ahead and click change once again, and it changes it over here. So now we're just going to click this old and new values. So if you remember, on our original variable, a value of 1 meant that the respondent agreed. So since this is for disagree, we want to give them a 0 on the new variable. Okay. And 3 corresponded with neither agree nor disagree, so we want them to also be a 0 on our new variable. And finally, if they were a 5 on our old variable, that meant that they disagreed, so we're going to go ahead and give them a 1 on our new variable. So we'll click add, and then we'll just go ahead and make sure that the system missing variables stay missing on the new one. Okay, great. So we'll click continue, click OK. Of course, it's going to take us over here to our output window, so we'll just go ahead and go back to our data view window. And if you come all the way down to the bottom, what you can see here is that our new variable has in fact been created. So let's go ahead and do that again for our people who neither agree nor disagree. So we'll just go to transform. Once again, recode into different variables. Now what you'll notice is that everything that I had put in before is still there. This is kind of a convenience feature of SPSS, but in this case we do need to go ahead and hit reset, otherwise it actually becomes very inconvenient. So we'll go ahead and reset that. And then once again we'll select our variable, bring it over here, and this time we're just going to creatively call this variable neither. And we'll just say that R for the respondent neither agrees or disagrees. And we'll click change. Then we're just want to again click the old and new values. And in this case, once again, an agree was 1 on the old, so we want that to be a 0 on the new. Here on the old variable, a 3 was neither agree nor disagree, so that's the one that we want to become 1 on this variable. And the 5 was a disagree, so we want that to take on a 0 value in our new variable. And then, of course, the system or user missing and system missing, keep that. So we'll go ahead and click add. So, and click OK. Again, it takes us to our output window. So let's just go back to our data view window just to make sure that that variable showed up down at the bottom. And it did. So now we can actually check to make sure that we have coded this properly by looking at frequency distributions for the 3 variables. So we're going to come up here to Analyze, and we're going to go to Descriptive Statistics, to Frequencies, and we're going to put our original variable in here, which was the FEWKMOM. We're also going to put our new variable that we created for disagree in there, and also our variable for neither. Okay, so we've got all 3 in there, so let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So what should happen is that the number of people who are a 1 on disagrees in our new variable should be the same number of people who were disagree on the original, and as you can see, that is the case. On our disagrees variable, 305 people are a yes, they disagree, if you will, and on the original, 305 people said they disagreed. So let's go ahead and check our neither agree nor disagree, and we can see that for the 1 we have 80, and in our original variable we have 80. So it looks like we've done everything properly. So now we can actually go ahead and use these in a regression. So the variable that we're going to be running our linear regression on is this FEMNST. It's the feelings thermometer for feminists. So as you can see, that is actually coded as a continuous variable. So we will go up to Analyze, to Regression, and then to Linear, which is right here. So we'll go ahead and click that. So we're going to use that feelings thermometer towards feminists, and we're going to go down here and find it. And there it is. We're going to add that as our dependent variable. And then for our independent variable, we're actually going to add both of our newly created variables. So if you remember, the first one was disagree, and the other one we called neither, meaning that they neither disagreed nor agreed. So here's that right there. So that's it. We're ready to go. Again, we don't have a category for agreed because you can't have dummy variables for every category in a linear regression because it won't run, and so we'll kind of talk about what that means in just a moment. So we'll go ahead and click OK. It's going to take us back to our output window, and it's going to give us all this information here. So we get down here, and let's just go ahead and take a look at what we got. So we see that if you disagree that women, working mothers, are able to have good relationships with their children, you're going to have a lower score on the feelings thermometer scale towards feminists. And if you disagree, it's also going to be lower. But which of these is significant, or are they both? We go over here and we can see that the disagrees is less than 0.005, so we can say that at the 95% level of confidence, it is significant. However, for the neither, it's this 0.376, which is obviously above 0.005. So we're going to go ahead and say that it is insignificant. The other interesting thing to note is, well, what about these people who agreed with the statement for the independent variable? Well, that's actually captured here by this constant. So we could actually, if we were to ask what is the predicted value on the feelings thermometer for people who agree with the statement, it would actually just be this 58.217. And then if we were looking at, for example, the disagrees, we would just subtract this from the constant. So they would be, right around a 52.1 on the feelings thermometer scale towards feminists, while people who neither agree or disagree would be 2 subtracted from this 58, so about 56 on it. So that is very quickly how you can create dummy variables in SPSS and use them in a linear regression.